What do you do when the person you love betrays you for someone you hate? For Marcus Tate, the answer was simple: fight harder. But when the truth unraveled, it wasn't just a business deal at stake. It was his heart. Marcus Tate stood in the sleek glass conference room of Pinnacle Ventures, his palms sweaty despite the crisp air conditioning. At 26, he was the youngest entrepreneur pitching for the biggest urban redevelopment contract in Brooklyn's history, a $50 million project to transform a dilapidated waterfront into a community hub. His startup, Unity Builds, had poured everything into this bid: late nights, maxed-out credit cards, and a vision to create a space where people like him, black, queer, and from Bed-Stuy, could thrive. Across the table sat Javier Morales, his rival. Javier, 28, leaned back in his chair, all sharp cheekbones and sharper confidence, his tailored suit screaming old money. His company, Morales Development, was a juggernaut, backed by his family's real estate empire. Marcus had spent years clawing his way up, while Javier seemed to glide through life on privilege. The tension between them wasn't just professional, it was personal. Javier's smug grin as he presented his glossy proposal made Marcus's blood boil. But the real blow came later that night, in the dim light of Marcus's apartment, when his boyfriend of 2 years, Diego Morales, Javier's younger brother, confessed something that shattered everything. "I gave him your plans," Diego whispered, his voice breaking. "Javier, he forced me to. I didn't want to, Marcus, I swear." How could Diego, the man Marcus trusted with his dreams, betray him to his own brother? Marcus's mind spun. Was it loyalty to family, or something deeper, more calculated? He thought back to the moments they'd shared, late-night talks about their future, Diego's soft laughter, the way his brown eyes lit up under the city lights. Had it all been a lie? Marcus pushed the memory away, focusing on the present. He needed answers. Why would Diego risk their relationship for Javier's win? And what did Javier have over him? The questions gnawed at him as he paced his apartment, the Brooklyn skyline glittering outside like a taunt. The next morning, Marcus met his best friend, Lena Carter, at a coffee shop in Williamsburg. Lena, 27, a fierce trans woman with a knack for cutting through bullshit, sipped her latte and fixed him with a look. "So, Diego screwed you over for his brother. What's your move?" she asked. What would you do if the person you loved most handed your rival the keys to your dream? Marcus didn't know yet, but he wasn't giving up. He'd built Unity Builds from nothing, and he wasn't about to let Javier, or Diego, take it away. "I'm going to confront Javier," he said finally. "He doesn't get to win this easily." Lena raised an eyebrow. "And Diego? You're just going to let him off the hook?" Marcus's chest tightened. Diego wasn't just his boyfriend. He was the one who'd made him believe love could be fearless. 2 years of stolen kisses in Central Park, shared dreams over cheap takeout, and quiet mornings tangled in sheets. Could he throw that away? But the sting of betrayal burned too deep. "I don't know," he admitted. "I need to understand why." That afternoon, Marcus stormed into Morales Development's downtown office, his heart pounding. Javier's assistant tried to stop him, but Marcus pushed past, finding Javier in a corner office with a view of the Hudson. "You used Diego to steal my plans," Marcus said, his voice low but shaking with rage. "Why?" Javier leaned back, unfazed. "Business isn't personal, Tate. You're good, but I'm better. Diego just made it easier." His smirk was infuriating, but there was something else in his eyes. Guilt? Fear? Marcus couldn't tell. "Did you threaten him?" Marcus pressed. "What hold do you have over your own brother?" Javier's expression flickered, but he recovered quickly. "You're barking up the wrong tree. Diego's loyal to family. Maybe you should ask yourself why he didn't choose you." The words hit like a punch. Marcus left the office, his mind racing. Was Javier right? Had Diego's love been a facade? Or was there something bigger at play, something tying Diego to Javier's control? That night, Marcus met Diego at their favorite spot, a quiet bench under cherry blossoms in Prospect Park. Diego, 24, looked smaller than usual, his usual vibrancy dulled by guilt. "I didn't want to hurt you," Diego said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Javier, he's got something on me. Something from years ago. I can't tell you what, Marcus." "Not yet." "Why didn't you trust me?" Marcus asked, his voice cracking. "We were supposed to be a team." Diego's eyes filled with tears. "I love you. But I was scared. Javier, he doesn't let go. What would you do if the person you loved was trapped by their own family?" Marcus wanted to pull Diego close, to forgive him, but the betrayal lingered like a bruise. "I need time," Marcus said, walking away, the weight of the night pressing down on him. Marcus spent the next week digging. If Diego wouldn't tell him the truth, he'd find it himself. He started with Javier's company, scouring public records and old news articles. Morales Development had a pristine reputation, but Marcus knew better. Power like Javier's always hid skeletons. What could Javier hold over Diego that was so damning? He met Lena again, this time at a dive bar in Bushwick. "You're obsessed," she said, tossing her braids over her shoulder. "What if Diego's just playing you? Maybe he's been Javier's pawn all along." The thought made Marcus's stomach churn. "No," he said. "Diego's not like that. I know him." But did he? 2 years felt like a lifetime, but secrets had a way of rewriting history. What do you do when doubt creeps into love? Marcus pushed the question aside, focusing on his research. He found a lead, a decade-old article about a Morales family scandal, quickly buried. It mentioned a family dispute over a failed real estate deal, with vague references to Diego, then only 14, being involved. The details were sparse, but it was enough to spark suspicion. Had Javier pinned something on Diego to keep him in line? Marcus decided to tail Javier. It felt desperate, but he needed answers. He followed him to a high-end restaurant in Manhattan, where Javier met a man Marcus didn't recognize. Older, maybe 50, with a predatory smile. They spoke in hushed tones, and Marcus caught fragments. "Diego's handled, and the project's ours." His heart sank. Was Diego still helping Javier, even now? That night, Marcus called Diego, his voice cold. "I saw Javier today. He's still pulling your strings, isn't he?" Diego's silence was deafening. "It's not what you think," he finally said. "I'm trying to fix this, Marcus. I swear." "Then tell me the truth." Marcus shouted. "What's he got on you?" "I can't," Diego whispered. "Not yet. But I'm working on it. Please, trust me." Trust. The word felt like a blade. Marcus hung up, his anger warring with his love. He couldn't let Javier win. Not just the bid, but Diego's soul. The next day, Marcus met with his team at Unity Builds. They were a scrappy crew. Aisha, a 30-year-old architect with a knack for sustainable design, and Raj, a 25-year-old coder who'd built their project's digital renderings. "We're not out yet," Marcus told them. "The city hasn't signed the contract. We can still fight." Aisha nodded. "We need dirt on Morales. Something to discredit their bid." Raj chimed in. "I can dig into their financials. If they're hiding anything, I'll find it." What would you risk to uncover the truth? Marcus was risking everything. His company, his heart, his future. But he couldn't stop now. He spent hours with Raj, combing through Morales Development's public filings. They found discrepancies, offshore accounts, questionable loans. It wasn't enough to tank Javier's bid, but it was a start. Then Diego showed up at Marcus's apartment, unannounced. His eyes were red, his hands trembling. "I need to tell you something," he said. "But you have to promise not to hate me." Marcus's heart raced. "What is it?" Diego took a deep breath. "When I was 14, I made a mistake. A big one. Javier covered for me, but he's used it to control me ever since. I gave him your plans because he threatened to expose me." "What mistake?" Marcus asked, his voice soft but urgent. Diego looked away. I can't say. Not yet. But I'm trying to make it right. I've got a plan to stop Javier. What do you do when love and justice collide? Marcus wanted to believe Diego, but the secrecy was suffocating. I'm fighting for us, Diego said, stepping closer. Please, give me a chance. Marcus's resolve wavered. He wanted to trust Diego, to pull him into his arms and forget the betrayal. But the bid, the lies, the unanswered questions, they loomed too large. I want to believe you, Marcus said. But I need more than promises. Diego's plan was risky. He'd been gathering evidence against Javier. Documents proving Morales' development had cut corners on past projects, endangering workers. If I can get this to the city council, they'll reject Javier's bid, Diego said, his voice steady for the first time in days. Marcus stared at him, torn. Could he trust Diego to follow through? Or was this another layer of deception? Why now, he asked. Why risk everything after helping him? Because I love you, Diego said, his eyes locking with Marcus's. And I'm done letting Javier control me. The words hit Marcus hard. He wanted to believe them, but doubt lingered. What would you do if the person you loved asked for a second chance, knowing they'd betrayed you? Marcus agreed to help, but he kept his guard up. They worked in secret, meeting in a cramped basement office lent by Lena. Diego had stolen files from Javier's office, safety violations, forged permits, even evidence of bribes. It was damning, but getting it to the right people without exposing Diego's past was the challenge. If Javier finds out, he'll ruin me, Diego admitted. Then we move fast, Marcus said. We get this to the city before he can retaliate. They enlisted Lena, who had connections at City Hall. She was skeptical but agreed to help. If this blows up, you're both screwed, she warned. You sure about this? Marcus wasn't sure of anything anymore, but he nodded. The stakes were higher than ever, not just the bid, but Diego's freedom and their future together. As they prepared, Marcus couldn't shake the question. What was Diego's secret? It gnawed at him, but he focused on the plan. They had one shot to take Javier down. The night before the city council meeting, Marcus and Diego stayed up late, finalizing their evidence. The air between them was heavy with unspoken words. If this works, Diego said, I'll tell you everything. I promise. Marcus nodded, but his heart was conflicted. What do you do when love demands trust, but betrayal demands answers? He reached for Diego's hand, their fingers intertwining. For a moment, the world felt right again. The next day, they presented their evidence to a council member Lena trusted, a no-nonsense woman named Carla Nguyen. She read through the documents, her expression grim. This is serious, she said. If it checks out, Morales is done. But Javier wasn't going down without a fight. Hours later, Marcus got a call from an unknown number. It was Javier, his voice cold. You think you can take me down? You're playing a dangerous game, Tate. And Diego? He's not who you think. Marcus's blood ran cold. What did Javier know that he didn't? He confronted Diego that night. What's he talking about? What aren't you telling me? Diego's face crumpled. I was young, Marcus. I did something stupid, and people got hurt. Javier's held it over me ever since. People got hurt. Marcus pressed. What does that mean? Diego shook his head. I'll tell you after tomorrow. Please, just wait. Marcus wanted to push, but the council meeting loomed. They had to focus. What would you do if the truth was so close, yet so dangerous? Marcus chose to wait, but the uncertainty was tearing him apart. The council meeting was chaos. Javier's team presented first, their polished pitch earning nods from the board. Marcus's heart sank as he watched, but he clung to hope. When it was their turn, Carla Nguyen took the floor, presenting Diego's evidence. The room fell silent as she detailed Morales Development's violations, shoddy construction, bribed inspectors, and a trail of unsafe projects. Javier's face was stone, but Marcus saw his hands clench. The council voted to investigate Morales' development, effectively pausing their bid. Unity Builds was back in the running. After the meeting, Marcus found Diego outside, leaning against a lamppost. "We did it," Diego said, a tentative smile breaking through. But Marcus wasn't ready to celebrate. "You promised me the truth," he said. "No more secrets." Diego nodded, his eyes heavy. "When I was 14, I was messing around at one of Javier's construction sites. I started a fire, by accident. It spread fast, and 2 workers were injured. Javier covered it up, said it was an equipment failure. But he kept evidence that could pin it on me. He's been using it to keep me in line ever since." Marcus's breath caught. "You were a kid. Why didn't you tell someone?" "I was scared," Diego said. "Javier made sure I stayed scared. But I'm done hiding. I'm turning myself in tomorrow. I'll face whatever comes." "What do you do when love means letting someone face their past?" Marcus pulled Diego close, their foreheads touching. "You don't have to do this alone," he said. "We'll face it together." Diego's eyes glistened. "I don't deserve you." "You do," Marcus said. "We both deserve a chance to make this right." In the weeks that followed, Diego confessed to the authorities. The case was old, and his age at the time worked in his favor. He faced community service, not jail. Morales Development's bid was disqualified, and Unity Builds won the contract. Marcus's vision for a community hub came to life, brick by brick. But the real victory was personal. Marcus and Diego rebuilt their trust, slowly, honestly. They moved in together, their apartment filled with new dreams and hard-won truths. Javier faded into the background, his empire crumbling under scrutiny. One evening, under the same cherry blossom tree where they'd faced their darkest moment, Marcus took Diego's hand. "We made it," he said. Diego smiled, his eyes bright. "We did. What does it mean to love through betrayal?" For Marcus and Diego, it meant choosing truth, fighting for justice, and building something stronger than before. Their love wasn't perfect, but it was real, and that was enough. This story unfolds over 4 parts, each building on the last to create a cohesive narrative. If you'd like to explore any part further, perhaps the emotional weight of Diego's secret or Marcus's decision to forgive, let me know. What aspect of their journey resonates most with you, and why?